Hello and welcome to a special telecast of Policy Watch on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. After a brief lull in the economy in 2017, it seems to have picked up over the recent past. One sector that was badly hit in 2017 was telecom. To talk about the telecom sector, to talk about its future, to talk about a national telecom policy, Aadhaar and much more, I have with me today a special guest, Mr. R.S. Sharma, Chairman, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Welcome and thank you for joining me on Rajya Sabha television.
Thank you very much.
Firstly, let me talk about the health of the telecom sector. Mr. Sharma, what ails it really now?
Well, health is like a situation where it depends on who is, in this particular case, whose perspective you are dealing with. If you ask somebody and the telecom is in very bad shape, you ask somebody else, it's quite healthy. So I don't want to get into that controversy because health depends on the views of the perceptor, the person who is watching it.
Do you believe something needs to be done, maybe an impetus from the government?
No, I feel that telecom sector in this country has a great future. It has been one of the star, sort of sectors in this country, and it has contributed immensely to the growth. And we have, from a tele density of 2 or 3, have reached today in the tele density of 92. And virtually, we have 1.2 billion mobile connections. We have voice connectivity is more or less universal. What is happening is that data play has begun on a very massive scale. Today, India is consuming 1.5 exabytes of data, which is actually more than many countries in the world. And per user data consumption is also very high. The prices are extremely affordable. And the data growth,
one of the cheapest in the world.
One of the cheapest, in fact, probably the cheapest in the world. So I think all these parameters, and I see in the immediate future, data demand is going to grow up because now we will have newer breeds of technologies which will basically.
So are you suggesting the focus is going to shift from voice to database consumption?
Absolutely.
And are we ready for it?
Absolutely, we are ready for it. And in fact, as I said, as such, there are huge data consumption taking place, 1.5 exabytes. And what is also going to happen is that now the telecom or the data is not only going to be used in the information and communication systems, it's going to be used everywhere. It's going to be used in agriculture, in health, in irrigation, in water supply, in transport, sewage disposal. So all these areas, we have 5G, Internet of Things, machine-to-machine communications, remote surgeries. So what's happening is that these ICTs are going to become, horizontal, and their scope and reach is going to virtually cover every sector of the economy. And that being the case, it's a great future for companies who are delivering data and who are actually providing these information and communication services.
So that's going to be the focus.
I see a great future because one of the criteria of the growth of a sector is whether the demand for its product is rising and rising and rising. And here is a sector where the more data you produce, the more it gets consumed.
Sure.
So I see a great future.
So you're saying the worst is over as far as the telecom industry is concerned. It has a bright future. It has a bright future is what you're suggesting. Okay, fine.
It certainly has a bright future.
Okay, great. Okay, we spoke about pricing a short while ago. You brought up pricing, and why pricing is so low or so, at such a great price in India. What do you think contributes to that? Why is it available at such cheap rates?
No, actually, the point is that if it was not available at cheap rates, it would not have covered the bottom of the pyramid. Please understand, India is an extremely price-sensitive market. See, in some countries, the ARPU, as they say, average revenue per user per month, is of the order of $150. In some countries, it's about $50 or so. In India, it's about $2. So people tell me, how can something sustain at $2? And I say this is a market where the game is large numbers with low price, low volume. Large volumes with low, sort of sachet size. So that's how it sustains. If 100 million population with $100 will still be, $10,000 million. but if $2 with 1.2 billion is $2.4 billion. So that's the difference.
We can drop to Chinese
India
manufacturing,
has a
large
game
scale.
India has a game of numbers.
Sure.
The scalability, that's very important. And that's an advantage which we have, and we are leveraging that advantage. See, so long as the telecom rates were 8 rupees 40 paisa for a party which called, and 8.40 for the party which was being called.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, probably you have a couple of millions of telephone subscribers. Today, you have 30 paisa, 35 paisa per minute, and sometimes, of course, now the data-driven, systems are offering unlimited calls. You have a situation where everybody is talking. India is handling 11 billion minutes of talk time every day.
Sure. And what that has done is it has ensured there is a price war between all the telecom operators in the country. Is that something that you're looking at? Because there have been some apprehensions raised by certain stakeholders.
We have the prices of the telecom services are under forbearance, as you say. Forbearance means, you are free to decide what you want to charge.
Sure.
Since last about 13 years, since 2004. And we have not, TRAI as a regulator, which is supposed to look into the tariffs, we have not fixed any prices. In fact, there was a suggestion some time back that the TRAI, in view of the competition, intense competition, we must fix the floor prices. And we actually consulted with the telecom service providers. And after consultation, the view was that no, it will be a bad idea to fix any floor prices.
Sure.
Let the prices remain under forbearance, and that's what they are.
Let's take our discussion forward. Now let's talk about the national telecom policy. Where does it stand right now? What are the kind of recommendations that you have made?
See, what we had done was that we had, Government of India, Department of Telecom had asked us to provide inputs on the national telecom policy. And in compliance of that, we had actually constituted about 4 groups here in the TRAI who consulted experts in the respective domains. And these people have been able to put together a document, a working document. That document is on our website, the policy document, the Telecom Policy 2018. And now what we are going to do is on 17th of this month and 24th of this month, we are going to have 2 major conferences, one in Delhi, one in Bangalore, to actually consult all these stakeholders and also consult some experts. So we will have, in the forenoon, for example, we will have open house discussion with the stakeholders. In the afternoon, we will have a closed door meeting with the experts. And I think with these 2 major conferences taking place, we'll further refine this document, and we expect that we'll to provide the inputs to the Department of Telecom by the early next month.
Can you share some salient features of the document with us?
Those salient features, as I said, the document is available on the website.
Okay.
And it will not be appropriate for me to articulate or really
understood.
Because what is articulated very well there in those documents. I can only say that the whole vision of this document, you see, Digital India program is an extremely comprehensive program of the Government of India. And one of the first pillars of that program is to have digital infrastructure as a utility to citizens. And this digital infrastructure obviously is a connectivity infrastructure, data delivery. These are very, very important. And this is prerequisite for everything else to happen.
Sure.
And therefore we need to position our infrastructure in such a manner that we are able to cope with the overall developmental objective of our country. We are able to be ahead on the technology curve from everybody else in the world, and we should have a world-class infrastructure.
Indeed.
So that's broadly the vision, and then of course all the other components will have to be tailored to actually feed and to ensure that this vision is realized.
TRAI had also asked for inputs from the general public as far as the national telecom policy is concerned. Are you happy with the kind of response that you've received?
Well, the comments are still coming, because you see what we had done was we have recently published those that broad paper, and we are receiving. I'm not aware about in terms of numbers how much we have received, but TRAI is proud always with its consultative process, and we have realized that the inputs which you get from the stakeholders, including the general public, stakeholder does not mean telecom service providers or any particular part. Stakeholders means everybody.
Everyone.
And that inputs have been extremely fruitful many times in many policy, and that actually goes into our recommendations, orders, regulations, or other policy making exercise. So I think it's very important. In fact, consultation is a part of the TRAI DNA, and we always do that. And I think this time around also, I'm sure we'll receive very, very valuable inputs on the technology policy document.
One final question on the national telecom policy. Are you happy with the shape it's taking?
Yes, very much, very much. We had informally shared this with the Department of Telecom, and we have got very good feedback. And I think we will be able to provide meaningful inputs to the Department of Telecom.
Let's talk about another big issue now that's been doing the rounds for a few months now. Of course, the flavor of the season, if you want to put it that way, is Aadhaar. What are your thoughts, and what do you think needs to be done as far as security, authentication, and because you too have been an integral part of UIDAI in the past?
No, let me first say that nobody can have any doubts or differences that the Aadhaar, which is one of the world's largest, the largest, and an order of magnitude larger than the largest system, is an extremely sensitive, sort of system, and its security is of paramount importance. And I'm sure the authorities at the UIDAI are taking all the necessary steps to ensure the security of the database. I have been concerned by the fact personally that a lot in the recent past, a number of controversies have been raised to create a scaremongering in the minds of the people that the Aadhaar data has been breached. And I have written about it also in some columns also I have written.
So do you believe it's foolproof?
No, let me just go to that first. So a lot of these scare is being created in the people's mind. Thus far, I have said, and I have very clearly articulated that, look, just some state governments publishing the Aadhaar number and the beneficiary details of some of the schemes in compliance with the RTI Act is not a great data breach. Similarly, the recent example where somebody shared the credentials with somebody else on a consideration, and then somebody claimed that he or she has got access to 1 billion Aadhaar. That's also not correct, because e-Aadhaar is a facility which has been in existence since 2012, and you can download your Aadhaar letter digitally signed and password protected. So thus far there has been absolutely no data breach. Aadhaar has got biometric biometrics of 1.2 billion people now, and that is an extremely sensitive information. But the architecture which UIDAI has, and I'm sure they must have strengthened it further, whatever I am aware of, is an architecture where no data is kept unencrypted, and the encryption is of one of the highest standards. And in the last 7 years that the first Aadhaar was issued in September 2010, not even a single data breach example of any biometric data has happened. So therefore, I just wanted to assert that the news or the scare of the data breach in Aadhaar are absolutely incorrect.
Sure. What are the biggest challenges that you see as far as Aadhaar is concerned?
Well, I see, of course, one of the issues is the fact that we need to, security certainly is one of the important considerations. Aadhaar is today at the central, at the center of India's public service delivery reforms, and I think we need to continue that, because people are getting their rations, people are getting their scholarships, people are getting their old age pensions directly into their account using DBT, and a whole lot of things are happening, and that's great. It is resulting into ensuring that the benefits reach the poor people to whom they are meant, and nobody else is able to take them away, and also reducing the leakages which happen due to the duplicates and bogus things.
Sure.
Recently also, the government has started linking this, bank accounts and other, financial things with Aadhaar. This is also a great effort, because ultimately it can be nobody's case that I should be allowed to have a Benami bank account,
Sure.
or I should be allowed to have a Benami property. So this will clean up that system also.
So the positives outweigh the negatives significantly, is what you're suggesting.
Certainly, many times over. And I think it is certainly one of the most transformational projects in information and communication technology project which India has done. And other countries, many countries in the world are looking at this project to replicate what has been done here.
Sure. Okay, coming back now to the hat that you're donning at the moment as chairman of TRAI. You know, one initiative that was started by TRAI a few years ago was the DND registry.
Yeah.
You know, initially it did fantastically well. You know, even I registered, and overnight, or maybe within the 3 or 4 days, the calls immediately stopped, messages stopped. But now, you know, there seem to be some leakages. You're still getting those calls and messages. What is the problem really?
The problem really is that the guys who were doing this have become a little more, you know, smarter, if I may use the term, and also a little more kind of courageous. You are right that the registered telemarketers who were virtually doing the job earlier, and once you do this DND, then obviously registered telemarketers, before they send message or call anybody, they check with this DND database that you are not there. If you are not there, then they will call. If you are there, they will not call.
Yes.
What has in some recent months or maybe a couple of years has happened is, it's so easy to get SIMs today, mobile SIMs. And if you get a mobile SIM, and without being a registered telemarketer, we start sending the messages. So you must have seen the messages today do not come to you from, you know, some registered telemarketers.
Yes.
They come from simple 10-digit numbers. So those guys send the numbers, and by the time we catch them, they have just thrown the SIM away and, you know, got another SIM and start sending that. So that has become a problem. So recently we have started an initiative where we use the crowdsource methodology, which makes it easy for people to complain. And immediately, suppose a person who has got this 10-digit SIM, you know, normal SIM, starts doing this business of unsolicited commercial calls or unsolicited commercial messages. Immediately we get complaint from him, and we are able to close his things early on and disconnect the resources. So as they are doing little clever things,
As they are evolving.
we also are ensuring that we are able to nip the trouble in the bud.
So this is something that you're looking at closely.
No, this is what has already happened. We already have the DND 2.0 application. You are also welcome to download that app.
Okay.
And you complain, and you will find that, you know, now complaints have also, you know, come down, because we are very, very early on. You know, because if I get 20 complaints from different service providers domain, immediately we switch it off. So that actually, in a way, crowdsourcing has helped us, or is helping us to tackle this menace.
And is there something else that you're working on as well as far as tackling this menace? Because this is a great idea. I mean, you let the people know who are being bothered. The people who are bothered let you know what's happening, and immediately you nip it in the bud.
Correct.
Yes.
That's the idea.
Sure. Okay.
So,
moving on now. Let's talk about another issue that has been making headlines of late: net neutrality.
Right.
What are your thoughts on net neutrality, and why do you believe we need to have a free internet?
Well, let me first tell you that the TRAI has given its recommendations to the government on the subject of net neutrality, because the government had asked us to provide a holistic recommendations that we have already given. TRAI, because tariff is a part of TRAI's domain, so February in 2016 we had issued a regulation prohibiting the discriminatory tariff on the internet, which means that basically a data is a data, and you can't distinguish between one data and another data.
Sure.
So that's one part. So that's already operational. That's one. So our views on net neutrality are that we must uphold the openness of the internet as a platform. Now the second question, why it is important? It is important because we are leapfrogging. We are leapfrogging from an no facility to an online facility. in the digital identity space of Aadhaar, we have leapfrogged from no identity to a completely, online identity, which is tokenless now. I mean, more or less, it's
we're looking at things. The face recognition is
again on the cloud.
Yeah.
So that being the case, we feel that a lot is going to ride on the internet. Internet is going to contribute immensely to all the applications and growth in this country. A lot of innovation is going to happen, and as you know, we have a lot of startups actually who are innovating in India, and their innovations are again going to ride on the internet. And therefore, it is extremely important that no telecom service provider should really have any kind of say, and as far as to guide me as to which site should I visit, which site should I not visit.
Sure.
I'll give you one example, and a practical example. There are a lot of telecom service providers who have now got the banking license also. They may be different legal entities, but they are basically banking license, maybe their subsidiaries and stuff like that. Now, obviously, if a telco owns a bank, it can always say, oh, if you visit my bank, I'll not charge any money from you. Now, there are other bank license people also who don't have any pipe. India Post, for example, is a payment bank license. Now, people can say if you allow them to treat the traffic on the internet in a discriminatory manner, and if you violate the principle of net neutrality, they can make going to India Post extremely difficult. They can throttle, they can price it very high. So therefore, what will happen is that this kind of anomalies will be created.
Sure.
Again, giving you another example, telecom service provision providers are like toll roads. See, if I come from Agra to Delhi on a toll road, Yamuna Expressway, and Yamuna Expressway toll person, he just has to see what kind of vehicle I've got. He doesn't have to ask me where I have come from, where I am going to, and what my vehicle contains. So therefore, he can't tell me whether going to Delhi, if I visit Connaught Place, he will charge less toll from me, and if I visit east of Kailas, he'll charge more. So he should be satisfied, and his work should be finished while just charging toll from me.
Sure.
So that's the broad principle, that the gatekeepers, the gatekeeping role should not be provided to the telecom service providers as far as the internet is concerned.
I think that was very well summed up for you by you as far as neutrality is concerned, and you put it in perspective for us. One final question before I let you go, of course. What are your short-term goals in the near future as far as TRAI is concerned?
We had last year in the month of January, we had set together with the telecom service providers, with the broadcasters and all these stakeholders in both these sectors which TRAI regulates. And we had set up an agenda for the last calendar year. And the idea was that there are many urgent issues which crop up. And many times you deal with urgent issues and you forget the important ones. You deal with tactical and you forget the strategic issues. So it's important that we keep focused on these important issues. So therefore, my immediate priority is to complete the whatever is left out. There's very little left out in the last year's priority list, which we actually agreed with both the broadcasting and telecom service providers. So we are done more or less. This year also we had set with the broadcasters on 12th. We will sit with the telecom service providers and other stakeholders on 23rd. And we will decide on the priority, and then we will take it up.
Sure.
But essentially, our one important priority is to provide inputs to the government on the national telecom policy.
All right. On that note, then we'll have to call it a wrap on this interaction between you and me. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma, for joining me on the program and sharing your expertise on TRAI and on the telecom sector as well as Aadhaar. Pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it from me. See you again next time.